All right, we are going to get into the Cbus swarm. This was the first beeswarm.org colony that I went and retrieved. I drove all the way to Columbus to get it. So they're kind of our initial resource hive. So we've kept them on some really thin sugar syrup, trying to get them to keep building out some comb. Now we've been very successful and lucky with the amount of swarms that we have acquired this year. So probably don't really need them as a standalone resource hive. I think we've got that covered, but nonetheless we kept them on syrup. And if we can get them to just keep drawing comb, building up resources, then we'll just keep letting them do that. So they've been on this 5/5 configuration for a couple weeks now. Alright, so here's a top outside frame. We've got a little bit of cap brood on the inside facing side, and then on the outside it's just a little bit of pulled and maybe two capped little brood cells. It's kind of weird. Get them just they're a little excited. I see eggs in some of the open cells in the middle. So that was brood that has emerged, and they've backfilled with a little bit of brood and some resources. This side is full of eggs. Most of them are laid over, so a couple days ago. But that'll be a big brood frame once it gets rolling. Okay, so this I think was one of these plastic foundations are what we gave them when we went to 10 frames, and we added a 5 frame on top. So this is full of eggs. Most of them are laid over. And this side is full of eggs, at least the areas that are drawn. So that's a good sign. So that's fresh foundation. They pulled enough for her to start laying eggs in. So this was a brood frame. It's emerging. As a matter of fact, you got a little girl right there starting to come out. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. But we got eggs and some larvae. Looks pretty good. For a resource colony, doing exactly what we want to do is start making resources. And they're starting to pull that outside frame. So I think looks good. You know, we brought, looks like 2 frames up from the original 5 that probably had brood on them to get them up here in this box. And then we gave them 3 foundations, of which she has started. I mean, she's got capped, obviously, capped brood there. The other ones have lots of eggs, mostly eggs, but some larvae. So, starting to get brood going in the second box. which is a good development. And I'll check the bottom here. So there's their oxalic acid pad. They've just got a tiny bit of pollen patty left, so we'll top them off with that when we close them up. Getting a little antsy, coming after my hands. I see a lot of white wax at the top of the frames here, which you would expect because they're on syrup. There's the queen. She's got the pink dot. It's kind of already worn off pretty bad, but she's there in the middle of the frame running around. This frame was on the outside, and it's wax foundation. I don't see any eggs. So I'm a little curious she's running around over here, but that's fine. And this just has nectar on this side. Let me get my flashlight real quick and I'll look just a little bit closer. Yeah, no eggs over here. It's just a little bit of pollen and nectar and some capped honey. Did she go to the other side on me? Yep, she's right up top here. Alright, Mama. Let me get you back in before you get in trouble. So this would have been a new foundation that they got maybe a little over a week ago, week and a half ago. So we got pollen packed in at the top. They're pulling it pretty well. Lots of larvae, lots of eggs. So again, making progress on new frames. And that's just got some resources on it. You should be able to see the pollen there. I'll leave that out. Alright, this was the original drawn comb that they had in their swarm box. Well, it wasn't a swarm box. When I shook them out of a shrub, they had a drawn comb to start with. So that's a brood frame. Looks good. They're backfilling on her a little bit, but more cap brood. Lots of larvae and eggs around the sides. So that's a pretty good looking brood frame. And then again, this was a foundation last inspection. So they pulled that a bit, and we've got fresh brood, fresh cap brood. Still working on pulling that out completely. Got some cap brood. Interesting, we got a little uncapping behavior going on here. What they've uncapped looks healthy underneath so far. But again, good progress. That was a foundation not long ago. And the last frame on the outside. You've just got nectar on the outside of it. Some capped honey, nectar, and just a tiny little bit of pollen on the inside. Alright, so they are queen right. They're brooding up. They're still taking their syrup on. They're pulling comb. Everything looks on the up and up here. I said the plan was for them just to kind of be a resource hive. And we'll leave it at that for now. So they'll get their oxalic acid pad back, and I'll go get them some fresh pollen patty and close them up. That's it for Cbus swarm.